Welcome back. Welcome back. What is going on, folks? What is going on? Long time no talk. It's been a while since the judge has been live. It's been a while. We had the holidays. January was crazy. I got a kid getting ready to go to college, so live streams has been put on the back burner when it comes to the family. But who do we have in the chat today? I want to see who we have in the chat. What are you drinking? Before we bring on our special guest. See my man Nadrick. What's going on, Nadrick? Good to see you, man. Got a pour of Meleck? All right, got a little pour of Meleck ready for you. I like that. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Not bad at all. What's going on, Tom? I see my man BB Tom, Virginia's finest, as well as forget Tom. Let's bring on his better half, our good friend Esther. Esther, cheers from Virginia Beach. Well, cheers from Delaware. I wonder if is it snowing in Virginia Beach like it is here in Delaware? I wonder if it is, Esther. I'm sure it is, more than likely. And thanks, by the way. And I should say thanks also. So for tonight, we have our 20,000 subscriber party. We're calling this a party, right? When you have Mia in the house from JT Meleck, it's a party first and foremost. So we have our 20,000 subscriber party featuring our special guest, who we're going to bring on in just a second, who needs no introduction. She is the queen of just fame when it comes to the whiskey world. Well, let's see who else we have here. Derek Hawkins, what's going on, Derek? How are you, sir? Good to see you. Kyle Rabicki, what's going on, Kyle? Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, long time. It has been, man. It has been. I'll be back more often now. We're slowing down a little bit on college visits, so we're slowing down a little bit. George, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much, man. Thanks for the love and support. Yeah, 20,000 subscribers. It took a while to get here, but hey, happy to be here. Happy to have everyone here. Appreciate all the love and support. My good friend Rob Sullivan. Rob is a part of the channel. I mean, everyone's a part of the channel, but Rob truly helps run part of our channel. So Rob, our good friend, our the Minnesota connection. I'm gonna call him the governor of Minnesota because Rob might as well be the governor of Minnesota. Frankie Bourbon, Atlanta's finest. What's going on, Frankie Bourbon? How are you, man? Good to see you, sir. Always a pleasure. Whiskey Voyage, how are you? Good to see you. Our good friend Troy Cassell. What's in your glass tonight, man? What is in your glass? I don't know. I bet you probably got some Meleck in that glass. I'm sure you do. All right. So I don't want to keep our special guests holding too long. So first and foremost, again, I want to go back and just say thank you for helping me to hit 20,000 subscribers. I really appreciate all the love from our wonderful whiskey community. And when I thought about, hey, I knew I was getting really close to that 20,000 mark. And what is a better way to celebrate 20,000 subscribers than to bring on, honestly, one of my favorite brands that I've learned about and had a chance to experience, had a chance to visit, enjoy meeting this wonderful family, Mia and her family, sipping and enjoying everything JT Meleck. So when I think about JT Meleck, many of us out there, you'll probably think of, obviously, it's rice whiskey, but it tastes just like bourbon. There are various different versions from the small batch to their high proof, which you can get obviously online at Bourbon Outfitters, to the various different single barrels. But when I visited JT Meleck, I felt like I was just part of the family. Like I belong in Branch, Louisiana. And when I think of Mia just represents, when you talk about one person who represents the brand, their family brand, first and foremost, better than anyone else on the market. There's no one else out there, no influencer, no social media expert. There is no one out there who represents their respective brand better than this young lady. I call her Queen Mia. Let's go ahead and bring Queen Mia online.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
What's going on, Mia?
That was the coolest introduction I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm definitely going to tell my husband that I'm now a queen. I'm like, sorry, sir. It's time for you to cook dinner forever because I'm the queen.
Absolutely. I will be your hype man any day, Mia. Don't worry. I'll be your hype man any day. Good stuff. So, Mia, how have you been? It's been, I think almost over a year since I had a chance to come visit in person, do the barrel pick. What's new with you?
It's been insane. Is it never insane? But fantastic.
Indeed.
It's when you said snow a second ago, I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. People are still in cold weather. I'm over here bundled up because the temperature dropped to like, I want to say like 40 or 50, but it's probably realistically like 50, 60, which is probably not that bad. But chilling outside, outdoor weather. Yeah. Now, am I ready for cool weather? Absolutely.
Ugh,
But things are great.
I hear you.
So things are fantastic. Can't go wrong.
That's good. That's good. Good stuff. I love seeing your Instagram and your Facebook posts are like literally honestly. There's some days where like even whiskey doesn't cure like like some like those hard days at work. I will pull up Instagram. Like I was watching one the other day when I think you had like your boot stuck in like I think like in the pond I think it was,
No,
and you're like
we have
I'm not
to talk
moving this
about
boot.
this one. Why? So many messages. We have to talk about this. And I have to clarify it because one, I thought it was freaking hilarious because I wish I had another camera facing the other way because one of our workers who works for our Cajun Crawfish, we ship live crawfish. His name's Brock. He's like running. He thought like I waved at him, like he saw me struggling, but he's like, come in. And I waved. I'm like, I'm good. Like you can see it. And he thought I was saying like not. So he starts booking. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, and he just, it's like, he comes over and he's like, I'm like, I'm good. He's like, oh shit. Okay. I wasn't sure. I thought you were in distress. I was like, I almost was. So, which makes it hilarious. I feel like if I could just like put like deer camera stand like all over the place, we get like some hilarious stuff that I don't catch on video. But so I had so many like comments and messages. Oh
my gosh, it's so funny.
All the way from laughing to like, are you even country? Like, do you even know how to like twist your foot and pull? And I'm like, it wasn't like so what I tell people, the video makes it look like I'm just laying there. But so when we get I don't know if y'all saw the snowstorm we had. So when you have
I saw that. Yeah, that's crazy too, by the way.
I thought
I was like, what? Branch, Louisiana snow? Because it was hot. I mean, when I went to Branch, Louisiana, someone asked me, they're like, how was it going to Branch, Louisiana? I said, I'm a big guy, right? And I know that. But I mean, I was sweating. And this was like in like, I think last like March, I think it was February, March. And I was like drenched in sweat. I'm like, how the hell did you guys get snow?
I legit, they canceled my daughter's school. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to be that typical Southern state that cancels it when there's like nothing. Shut it down, shut it all down. And I have lived in the North. Like I'm from here, I've lived the majority of my life here, but I know that stereotype both ways. I'm like, here we go. Like it's not going to snow. Meanwhile, I wake up and I posted that picture at 7 a.m. and we had 4 inches. And I'm like, what? And it just kept coming down. So when you have that, our pond froze over. We got all this snow, rapid temperatures, but within the weekend, melted, went back up to 70s and 80s. And when you have that, you get a lot of mud. The crawfish get really pissed. They burrow into the ground, so they create like mass. So basically, when one will find a soft, when it's freezing over, they'll find a soft spot and all just burrow in the ground. When you rapid temperatures up, you create a sinkhole. So you'll create sinkholes at different pieces. So it's not top level soil. So where you're sticking in the mud or you're going hunting, your boot gets stuck like easy, twist and pull, you'll get all mucked up. That's like top medium level soil. I stepped right into a sinkhole, which I had already lost a pair of boots to. Like it'll take your boots and was coming into my boot. Okay. So when I lost my other pair, I'm like, and I had to go get the 4-wheeler, attach the thing, pull it out because I couldn't get it. I'm not that strong. And so pull it out. So I had to go get my backup boots. And I'm taking this video and I'm like, so when I got the video, I'm like, oh, you are not taking these boots. I am not happening. It's like the worst. So I like have to pull my foot to the top. That's why there's like a moment of me like really concentrating because I have to take my foot out and then wedge my foot and twist and then yank it out to like because it's literally sinking. It'll go all the way down to like my knees or thighs. Like I won't like quicksand like go all the way under. But it'll swallow your whole boot. So I was just like, you're not taking it, like Hulk smash. And so people
Two crimes on the farms of Branch, Louisiana, boy.
This was a big deal, even though I looked at the video later. I was like, man, I looked like I was just laying there. Like, everything was a big deal. Even my dad was making fun of me. He's like, you can't handle mud anymore. I'm like, it was a sinkhole.
Oh, man. That is so funny. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, it's never a dull moment. Not even 10 minutes after that, I face planted into the pond. I'm not joking. I saw crawfish coming up onto the catch can't think. My brain's not working. I saw it and I was like, oh, with the like background. So I was trying to get there. I went there too fast. And it's in that moment where you're falling and it's like, oh, I can catch myself and ruin my phone and camera. or I can sacrifice myself and raise my hands. And so I just was like, fell in, and then I like popped up and I walked into the office and I like walked around and they all looked at me and they just started busting out laughing. And then it was just kind of like another day in the office. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go shower.
Oh man, Frank,
never a dull moment.
That is so funny. Frankie, you're right. Mia's enthusiasm, it is truly wonderful. It's beautiful. It really is, boy. I tell you, boy, you bring it naturally. That's it's such a cool thing too, because like, a lot of times, like when I'm, you're scrolling on Instagram or on Facebook, regardless, take away just whiskey, right? Just different influencers, even the ones that I follow. Like I follow a whole bunch of people and different things that I enjoy, right? Music, golf, you name it, right? But like your enthusiasm, it just sucks. It brings you in. It's like a tug of war. It's like me, it's just pulling you in, and you're not gonna win because your enthusiasm is just on point naturally. Everyone loves it. It's so cool.
I struggle most of the time if I don't post a video. It's because I'm not in the right headspace. Like I just can't fake it. So if like I'm having a tough day, I'll do something of like that doesn't have me, or I'm not really talking, or just I'm having a day with my family. I've like completely put my phone away and I'm out of it. That's awesome. So I really take that of like driving the authentic piece, not in the videos, but also knowing that it's it's not the life. I actually am probably one of the worst social media people. Like really? I'm probably one of the last people to find out about anything. Like people assume because I'm like I run it all from every platform, but it's definitely like I'm like the worst person. I'm not like sitting there. I'll go and I follow things and I try, but man, let me tell you, I find most of my like tea from one of my friends. She'll like text me. She's like, have you seen this? And I'm like, oh God, I didn't know that. I'm like going on. I'm like, like here we go. Like I just rely. So if anybody has the tea and they want to send it to me, I probably didn't know first. Feel free to send it to me.
That is crazy. Cheers to Matt Rainey. So Matt was on our my barrel pick last year. He was one of the members from the 15, and Matt's local to you as well. I think he lives right there in Branch, I believe, like 5 minutes away. So
couldn't believe it. Insane.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Cheers to you, Matt. All right, so Mia, so I obviously know everything about, well, not everything, but I know a good bit about JT Meleck. Can you give everyone just a quick, let's call it a quick high level about your brand, how you guys got started, just like, the 411 on JT Meleck as a whole.
Absolutely. So it starts with my father. He's, I like to say, an addicted entrepreneur. So that's basically what he does. Like if he's too quiet or you see that little like serious face, he's probably thinking of some other business idea. And I'm like, whoa, bring it back. Let's talk through this before you go off and do something crazy. So we started with a rice farm. We think JT Meleck was named after our great uncle, John Meleck, who ironically, we really didn't even know too much about. He had heard stories about him when he was younger. My name was actually supposed to be Meleck, which is really funny. They changed it last minute to Mia. So I was supposed to be Meleck. I think it's way better on a brand. So it worked out. And so like the whole pregnancy, we're going to name her Meleck. Well, they thought the doctor said I was going to be a boy. And so when I ended up being a girl, my mom was like, Meleck sounds like a dead fish on a girl. So we go in. It's like this great Uncle John that planted the first rice crop. They go on. It's my grandfather, my great grandfather, then my grandfather, and then my dad and my uncle. So there's Mark and Mike. Mike's my father. Mark is my uncle. And those two have the farm together. So we're on the property of Fruit Aqua Farms, which is our rice and crawfish farm. They brought in the crawfish in the mid 80s when people used to just farm rice. That's what Meleck did. That's what John Meleck did. That's what my great grandfather did. My grandfather did. And when it came down to my father and uncle, you just could not. It wasn't sustainable just to do rice. So at that time, people, especially LSU, was doing a lot of aquaculture research in terms of crawfish bringing value back to rice. They're inverted seasons. They complement each other. It drives the value, kind of supply and demand on a different scale of driving more value because nobody has crawfish. It starts developing from there. And so you fast forward in the early 2000s, the same thing that happened prior to crawfish happened to the rice again, where now having rice and crawfish, you got crawfish coming from Egypt now. You got it from China.
Really?
You have,
I didn't know that.
Apparently Egypt has the closest, like, ecosystem is not the correct word, but
like weather and so
patterns
similar
of water to us.
Got it.
Apparently Egypt is extremely similar from what the data says. So they can mock it, create it, and just like they are absolutely creating. We ordered a shipment of it last year, and I was pretty shocked with
really.
Egypt. Like it was.
Never knew that.
crazy. So that's not a good thing for us or any other farmer. And so everybody, the value dropped. Kind of how rice works is it's a monopoly. It has to go to the mill. There's only one mill, only one way to strip your grain from the husk. And so on that, and I mean, you know, building a mill is like, you might as well build a skyscraper. I mean, there's that's not a solution. So they will come out and give you your value based on a lot of factors, but it's not value based on necessarily numbers of what it took for you to make that crop. So basically, let's just say it takes $1 million to harvest everything, plant it. This is it. So you're going to, you know, charge $1.2 million to make, you know, 20% off the top or whatnot for next year. They can come in and say, well, based on these numbers and what we see and what other farmers are allowing, we're going to give you 500. That's a complete example. That's not real. But that obviously is not sustainable. So it got to the point where it was more expensive to plant. My uncle is the farmer. He's the one that makes plants, harvests the rice, along with my uncle from another mother, Ed, who all the rice you get, they are the farmers. Have always wanted to be farmers, are farmers. You just don't tell a farmer that they don't plant. My father is the business. He's got the numbers, the business, the ideas, wrapping around what's the long term, where are we going from this? So he basically tells my uncle one time, he's like, we're not going to plant next year. And he's like, what?
Oh, snap.
He's like, we're not going to plant. He's like, you must be out of mind. Like, we're planting. It escalates to the point of like full-on family affair. Like we're getting into it. We can't plant. It's not for coming up with all these ideas. And we are like in this thing, in this whole meeting, basically, holy shit, it's all coming down. And somebody makes a joke and was like, all right, y'all calm down. Let's just like take your vodka and make some alcohol out of it. Let's make a martini, Mike. You love martinis.
Make a martini, like, Mike.
He's like, what do you mean? And he was like, I don't know. Don't you need a grain or something? Like, and he was like, do you? And literally he just turned and started, can you make alcohol? Can you make vodka out of rice? And it just came up. You can make any, like all the different things. And he's like, what the hell? And he like turns around and we're all kind of like, what? Like, and it just like started from there. Went to a conference. So the whole concept of JT Meleck came from adding value to our rice crop. And I know what y'all are thinking. You're thinking you want to add value to your rice crop. So you do something that has no evidence, no research saying that it would be successful. Everybody's saying there's no such thing as an American rice whiskey. It's never been done before. You're going to go grain bottle. You're going to spend a lot of money on a still.
So true. That's bold. That's a bold bet, right?
For 5 years. Yeah. It's people are like, I don't understand. Like, that's probably the main question I get. I don't understand. If you were losing value, why would you put so much risk? Like, that's more risk to put it away for 5 years. And I like to call that the Fruget stubbornness. That's what I like to call it. Somebody told us that we couldn't do it. And every time somebody tells me we can't do it, or vodka can't be good, or rice whiskey can't be good, that just motivates me even more. And I get that from my father. So he looked at me. There was one time where a guy told us vodka was really going to be it. He was a martini guy. We had vodka. We like played around with a little bit of the whiskey, but I kid you not, some guy told us to our faces, you shouldn't waste your time. It's impossible to make an American rice whiskey that's decent, if yet worth a damn. You might as well give up now. And I literally like looked at him and I looked at my father and I was like, here we effing go. We're all the way back. And I'm like, we're doing it. He's like, can you believe that guy? You know, he's like getting up. Oh, we're going to do it. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to do it. He's like, I don't know how we're going to do it. Me neither, but we're going to do it. Like, we're just
going to prove him wrong.
And so it's just been making it up as we go ever since. Like, we just
I love that.
Make it up every day.
That. That is awesome, man. That is awesome. And let me give a huge cheers out to my man, Nick. I appreciate you, Nick. Thanks so much, man. Always appreciate the love. We got actually our Ohio folks on the chat tonight. What's going on, Troy? Thanks again, man.
I'm trying. I'm waiting on the state, Troy. Waiting on the state.
Oh, you are? Oh, wow. Okay.
Ohio is a top state from our data. So, yeah, we're working on it. Have some great people helping me out. So, just like waiting on the state. It's a hard state. So, it's not going to be like tomorrow, but that is a top state for me. Yeah.
That is. Okay, yeah, because the last time I was there, last time we talked as well, obviously Louisiana, right? That's your home, right? Of course, it's number one. You had just got into like Texas, and Texas was, I mean, gosh, I'm in like way too many Facebook groups, and I see Texas like post all over. Check out my JT Meleck here in Dallas, and this city, and this store, and so forth. But like, so it sounds like obviously Texas is done. You're killing it in Texas. You're killing it in Louisiana. Online, Bourbon Outfitters. That's great for e-com, obviously. it sounds like Ohio is a next big state. Any other states in addition to Ohio that potentially might be in the running as like a next market?
So I would love Ohio. So in terms of, I don't have permits for them, they're state. So Ohio and North Carolina.
Okay.
Tennessee would be a state, but if anybody's on Tennessee, your state has a bad rep. I'm sorry. It's like everybody says don't go to Tennessee. We have so many fans in Tennessee. It kills me. I try. Like I've seen a lot of things. Everyone's like, oh God, we know how it is. I don't know, because every state has their challenge. But those are 3 top states. What I just received actually this week is permits for California, Oklahoma, and Indiana. So I'm working on those through like an RNDC on demand process where it's actually, I don't want to say direct to retailer, misusing the legality of that, but it is a way that it goes direct there through distribution. So that's what I'm working on. I have meetings. I've been having meetings the last few months. So it'll be a small scale kind of like testing different markets. But I'm very much, and you've probably seen this through every process that I've done. I take this process completely different than this industry is. And I'm probably, I feel like I piss off a lot of people in the industry doing this, because we've just fallen into this, this norm where we forget that suppliers are really like the backbone of everything we're doing. And the consumer is the meat. Like, I don't know if meat is a good word, but like that relationship, the supplier who's making something fantastic and the consumer that wants to enjoy it and make it part of their story and their life, meeting together these other tiers. Some are fantastic, some are not. And I mean, within each tier, but we've just come into this thing where it's like, we don't bring value to those 2 things anymore. And it's just like, it's gotten so far away from where the reason that the first person made whiskey. And it's just like, for me, when it's like, who are you going to incentivize? Where are you going to go? What are you going to put down? I'm like, I'm going to incentivize absolutely no one. If you don't want to try it, it's completely on you. What are you going to pay me to drink this? Absolutely nothing. If you don't want to drink it, that's completely you. I don't pay to play. I don't mess around. Like, either you enjoy the relationship. I'm a ride or die, Marcus. Like, I'm sure you've already.
I hear you.
You got me. I got you. We will get it. But like, I don't play that. So what I do is when I target things, I target the consumers. Every comment, everything you send me, I keep those things. Like those, I literally have printouts of every comment, all the market data, and I bring it to distribution. I will literally email showing. You're saying that this won't do well in the state. This is literally this is active. This is the views. This is where it's importing. This is, look how many people within this have requested the vodka, have requested the whiskey. I'm telling you, I say everything. So every
you're in it.
Share goes in my market reports when I try to present to distribution to get into new states. Like, absolutely. I want to put it where the consumers are. So when I talk about those states, it's not necessarily a full launch state. It's about putting it where consumers are. So like when consumers say, hey, I'm in, let's say I use Oklahoma, for example. I have a great buddy in Oklahoma. If he gives me his main retailer, I will then give that retailer right to the distributor. And I'm like, this is somebody who will take it on. This is the group. This is why they will, rather than like, oh, who are we going to go? So for anybody watching and wants to send me those things, I mark all that stuff down and send that stuff to make sure to kind of streamline. So we're getting into the right places, because I hate to hear of like a place, like we're in a state or in a location, but one retailer doesn't have it because they didn't realize it or they didn't know. And I'm more for like, if you have your retailer you go to, let me know. I'll let them know. They can absolutely get it. You don't have to go somewhere else just to,
that's
get
awesome.
our product. So
that's awesome.
I'm trying my best. Can't control everything, which I wish I could, y'all. If I could just
I'm with you. Distribution, though, you're right. It's such a, and Rob, it's funny because Rob Sullivan's on, him and we talk about this all the time. Rob knows way too much about whiskey. If you ever need to know anything about like distribution in like the Northwest area, like Michigan, Minnesota, Rob is definitely your guy, and I can connect you. Rob knows everyone in this world. I will say that, in the whiskey world. But it's almost like they're trying to make it like so difficult to get into a market, and I never understood the reason why. Like, it just doesn't make sense, especially when you have the proven data to show that like your products will sell to your respective community in that market. So make it easier. I don't understand why it's such a pain in the butt.
I don't know. We're like constant.
Crazy.
I don't know. We have some outdated laws for sure that really affect. You know what's crazy? we're driving. So my mom sends me a picture last weekend. She's driving to a wedding to Lake Charles. They're going to the casino. And she sends me this picture. And literally on the interstate, it goes, "Have you bought your marijuana today? Turn left next exit." She's like, She goes off, just like test it. And she's like, literally, it's a drive-through. I looked it up, and I'm not stating my opinion on that versus this.
Yeah. Sure.
We can't advertise that stuff. I get shadow banned online. Don't talk about alcohol, the devil's work or all this lie or everything. I'm like, we can have a billboard and a drive-through for marijuana. I'm just like, why have the laws not adapted? It makes absolutely no sense. We're in this, it's crazy. And
but God forbid we talk about whiskey, but you can get marijuana like right here.
I know.
Billboards, it's open.
Supplier and consumer. Yes. And consumers don't even realize like what they're not getting access to. It kills me to see what I thought on the consumer side and now see what I see on the supplier side. And people that think they don't have access to things or think that they have to do a certain thing or think that things are put on the floor in retailers because it's necessarily the good thing. That's real estate. It's placed there for a reason. It's insane to see the world. It's way above my head.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. What's going on, Paul? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Well, Mia, we're going to give away some whiskey tonight, some JT Meleck whiskey from my single barrel pick, as well as one of my glasses. We're going to do it throughout the night. So we're going to do every 20 minutes. We're going to give away a prize. So no, you don't have to do a super chat. This is truly just to celebrate our 20,000 subscribers, celebrate JT Meleck, what it stands for. So, Mrs. Judge, go ahead. Let's pick a winner, Mrs. Judge. I love giving her feedback. When we were kind of behind the scenes before we started, everyone, to kind of give everyone a heads up, Mrs. Judge was yelling at me as it happens quite often. I'll just say I messed up. I've learned my lesson. I messed up. So now it's actually nice to give her a little bit of feedback. So let's go, Mrs. Judge. Who's our first winner, Mrs. Judge? Let's see who I'm shipping some JT Meleck whiskey to, as well as a glass also. Let's see who we got. Let's see, we have. This was the my barrel pick, not just because it was mine, but it was just so damn good. So damn good. Oh my gosh. It's delicious. Absolutely delicious.
I think my favorite part of that is that I think if I remember correctly, I like to guess on what people are going to pick. And I guessed right, and I ended up bottling it so y'all could buy it. I was taking a risk. If I bottled it, it was going somewhere else. But I bottled it.
I remember that.
Because I definitely chose right, and you can buy it right now.
You sure did. I remember when you said that you had bottled, so I'm like, how the hell did she know we were going to pick this barrel?
I like
guess
I'll do it, because if not, it can be like an online thing or some other retailer. It can go somewhere. It will be used, within a time frame. So I always like to challenge myself, because everyone's a personality and people, and I like to try to guess what they're going to pick. And if it is, I like to have it like ready to go. If it is, I've been wrong quite a lot too, but that was like great, because I was like, hell yeah, you can buy it. It's ready.
You did it well. You did it well. So it looks like our first winner goes to Michael T. Mike, I'm not even going to say your last name. I think it might be Tobias. I don't want to kill it. So say Michael T. Just reach out to me, Michael, on either Instagram or just on my website, thebourbonjudge.com. Hit me with your address, and I will get some the JT Meleck 2-ounce sample for my barrel pick, as well as a Bourbon Judge Glencairn as well out to you. So congrats to you, man.
I know how you can make it up to Mrs. Judge. So one of my favorite drinks, so it's called the local squeeze. So if you take simple syrup and you put rosemary in it for like 5-10 minutes, you're gonna do that. It creates like almost like a rosemary lemon drop, and then it's vodka, lemon juice, and then you can add a little bit of like sparkling water at the top, and it's like a very subtle, like with the rosemary on the top of the nose. I have it in this because I was just gifted this glass, and it's very pretty, but it's very great. You can make her a rosemary lemon drop.
Make it, all right. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna write this down later.
Oh, and vermouth. That was the other thing. It has vermouth in it. That's vermouth, lemon juice, simple syrup, JT Meleck vodka.
Got it. Okay. All right.
I added the rosemary and the simple syrup.
I'll get out of the doghouse. Care of Mia. Thanks, Mia. I appreciate it. Mia's helping me to be a better husband. See that? Forget just promoting whiskey. She's also doing marriage advice as well. Mia's boy, she's just going all over with JT Meleck.
Cannot do wrong with a cocktail.
That's too funny. Gandy wrote, you're right, man. So it's funny you say
Yes.
that about the vodka. Like the whiskey is amazing, and it is, right? But the JT Meleck vodka is truly outstanding because. So fun story, Mia. One of my cousins, cousin Nita, she's on the channel quite often. She visited us over the holidays. Let's just say your bottle of vodka was gone, like in the day. I was like, "Yo, that's my JT Meleck vodka. Stop making those damn drinks." Gone one day, out the door. She loved it.
Last long. You can ask my husband. He flies through it. I finally had to tell him, I'm like, you're not to touch another 750. You have to take the 1.75s. Like, you're blowing me out of 750 bottles. You have to move on to the big ones. We're like rolling through them. He does just vodka and Sprite easy, but like absolutely loves it. It's the first time we never drank vodka. And it's not like you don't grow up like having vodka at one point in your life. It's the most consumed alcohol in, well, besides ironically, I think sake is the number one in the world, but vodka is in the US. And like everyone's always like, oh no, vodka's like down, what goes down comes up. And I'm like, not this one. And that's literally to give like credit. And the biggest thing with my father is he's a martini guy, and he really was like, it's going to make a good one. And I said that. I'm
it's
like,
good. So good.
Like,
it makes everything. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. And I can't go back. I know instantly if I go to a restaurant and I order some JT Meleck cocktail or whatever, and I say with JT Meleck vodka, and either they're out or they just, they're unfortunately trying to overcharge you and putting some, BS well thing in there. I know immediately my stomach does not like it because ours is so rice is it's we don't strip our grain, and rice is a glutenless grain. So anybody with celiac is safe to drink all of our spirits. So it's not false advertising, no false marketing. It's made 100% with rice, and rice is glutenless. So I think once you get into that, oh my gosh, consistently drinking more, we call it a pure spirit because it reaches 191. It keeps that vanillas and that natural flavor. There's nothing added to it. And you're getting pure, like anything that like smells like tails, anything that's like redo. Like we are very specific on our quality control. You're not going to get any of that like forward. It's not going to be, and you just can't go back. Like once you go Meleck, you can't go back.
You can't go back. And it's so sweet too. That's the cool thing about your vodka, because most times I always feel like whenever you have like a vodka before you make your mixed drink, right? If you're just sipping it like, neat, if you will, it has like a very like kind of like a harsh taste to it. But your vodka is very sweet. It's like, it's almost like you want to just keep just sipping it neat.
Yes, I drink it. I'll tell you my father was very smart with like winning me over. And I tell everybody, because you'll get like Tito's in your head and you'll get this in your head. And it's not against anything, but it's also in your head. Most of the time vodka is used because there's no stipulation like you have with whiskeys and bourbons and things that you have to, you don't have to reach 191. There's nothing like that shows you. As long as you bring it down to 80, they could have distilled they could have gone in the distill into the still at the distillate at 80. That's correct. Not good, by the way. Side note.
Yeah,
and so
I'm sure.
That harshness that you're getting, like that's not good. And we've associated that with vodka. And so I always tell people blind it, like, because you're getting wrapped up with the marketing of it. Blind it. Don't tell anybody. Put whatever brand you want. Put JT Meleck in there and blind it. And we always win. And that's how my father got me the first time, because I was like, it's going to be like every other vodka. Like, so when people say that, I'm like, just give it a shot.
Give it a try.
When he sampled me on it originally, he gave me Tito's, Absolute Kettle One, and our vodka. And I really couldn't pick out what was what, but I thought he gave me flavored water. Like I thought, so I said to him, it was like
that's crazy.
I thought he put something in it to try to make it. And I was like,
trying to throw you off a little bit.
Yeah. So I even asked him, I was like, what? I was like, I'll put this in my water cup. What did you put in it? I think it's like a cucumber water type of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, what'd you put in there? He's like, no, that's our vodka. And I'm like,
that's our vodka.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was like, it was our first run. He was like, so you in it now? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in it. Let's go. Like,
sign me up. Yes, please.
Yeah.
So Mia, David actually brings out a good question. I mean, when I think about, your core products that you have, easy access to, which one would you recommend that's out there? Would you recommend your 96 proof bottle? Would you recommend something a little bit higher proof, like the high proof that's available on Bourbon Outfitters? What would you recommend?
So whenever I do samplings, I always start from the vodka and I go up. So like if you have the legacy, I definitely would put the legacy the last one because it's completely different than the rest. It's going to be after the gold label, which is the 6 year. And if we have all those items, I would do vodka, small batch, high proof, single barrel, 6 year, and then legacy. I do that because you really get I find that with our whiskeys, you'll go one of two ways. It'll either get harder, and harder is not a good word, but it'll get more like robust. It'll get more intense, your flavor, like as in really in your mouth.
Yep.
When you go from the legacy down to the small batch, or you'll get easier and go up and you'll get more in the finish and it'll just get more flavorful. What I mean by that is for me, if I start with the legacy and I come down, high proof is my favorite. That's also, it's my baby. So I'm biased. So
is that your baby? Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. My father's the small batch. I'm the high proof. So is it family rivalry? Yes, it is. So with him, he finds the 96 to be like, hit it. Like that's the staple. And I find
it is nice though. I mean,
I find high proof is our staple. I find that our whiskey is just 117, 118, 119. That's where it lives like consistently. Yeah. So that's where we go. So you can start with each of them. So I find the higher our proof, the more it goes, it's easier. I get more of like a subtle, more of the flavors, more of the whatever you're getting there. The small batch is actually the hardest for me to drink. And I don't mean hard like I can't drink it. I mean across the board. Whereas some people will start with small batch like, okay, 96, that's very good. Hybrid. Oh, okay. You know that we're getting up. Oh yeah. Single barrel. Like now I'm getting it. So it just depends on your flavor. I find that the more water added to our whiskey, the more intense, the more robust, the more rugged our whiskey gets. The less water you get, the more butter, the more caramel, the more butterscotch you're going to get from the rough, just more subtle. My father thinks it's the flip. So it's completely, but when I do samplings, I go vodka, small batch, high proof, single barrel, 6 year legacy. That's what I do.
Okay. I always feel like you're so hopefully David, that answers your question, right? Like what Mia just mentioned, right? Kind of starting with the vodka and then small batch and working your way up. To me, I've always felt like your single barrels, even your high proof. And I love this note, like especially like in a bourbon or a whiskey note, rice, in this case, rice whiskey note. I always felt like your whiskeys have like a very subtle hint of like a maple syrup kind of a note. And that is like one of my, and I love maple syrup. I love pancakes. So, I mean, let's just be real, right? I mean, I love it, right? I mean, so I'm sipping your whiskey. I'm sitting back. I'm thinking about like, eating some pancakes. I mean, it's wonderful. It is a wonderful note in your whiskey. And I absolutely love it. I love it in your single barrel. It's like there. Yes, it's like the special gravy. It is.
It's a gravy.
Indeed. It is. Indeed. So, man, someone asked, Mel asked about your sweatshirt. How can you get like the JT Meleck gear? Your sweatshirt, your hat?
I have people. So if you want to, you can totally mail me. I bought this on Amazon and then I'll go and stamp the logo on my stuff. And I've told people like, you got a hat or a shirt or something, send it to me. I'll put the logo on and I'll send it back to you. Like, or you want like, because we don't have this as a like a merchandise item. I probably could, but for specifically for this, I bought it and then I stamped it. So
then you stamped it.
That's what I did. Yeah. So if you want to send it, I'll stamp it. I'll stamp it for you. Send it back.
But you have like your app, right? Which is awesome. Very helpful for if you're buying your whiskey. I go directly to your app. I mean, all the time I'm always on your app looking to see like what new single barrels are coming out. Is the high proof still there? Is a small batch still there? Is my lovely vodka there that I now have to order again because my cousin drank it all? I think you have merch on your app as well, right? Keep me honest.
Yes, we do have merchandise. And we do have actually right now, I think my mom put a discount on all the winter stuff because for us it's getting warmer, but for y'all it's still cool. We got really nice jackets. We have a couple polos. We have some long sleeves, t-shirts. But it's difficult for us because we don't have an entertainment center, so it's hard to like gauge and like have the inventory. So I tell people like, if you want to send me a blank sweatshirt that you have or get a sweatshirt, send it to me. I'll put the logo on it and I'll send it back to you. Awesome. Like
you're such good people, Mia. You are such good people. You are you're truly an anomaly in the whiskey industry. There's not a lot of people like you. I love that. You're such a good person. You really are. That's awesome. That is awesome. So Mia, we're talking
one day at a time.
One day at a time. All right, Mrs. Judge, let's do one more winner. But while you're pulling the winner, Mrs. Judge, I have a quick question for Mia. So Mia, we talked about some of your releases, Legacy, the 6 year, your high proof. What's the next up and coming thing for JT Meleck? What's the next thing that we can
Okay.
all look forward to?
So I'll throw this out. We can get some comments if anybody wants to engage. So I'm having this, like, let's go to our single barrels. Like you asked, what should we try first?
Yeah.
Single barrels are fantastic, but it's become almost, I don't want to say an ick, but like close. When people come in, they're like, oh, I want to try the single barrel only. I'm not interested in anything else, just the single barrel. I'm like, wait, let's start over here. Because once you kind of go there, they're fantastic, but it's almost like I feel like we've done our job too well. And it's hyped so much so that people are like, no, I'm not interested in your other stuff. I just want to see that single barrel. And I'm like, like,
you've done a great job.
It all develops certain things. And so I've been trying to rack my brain on, I feel like it came from the flavor. I mean, the flavor, we have fantastic products. There's not one product, in my opinion, that you could say, no, not really. They all give something. They give it very well. So with that in mind, seeing the single barrels and see what it does, things do all kinds of different things. But we're in this world where it's like, give me the hazmat, give me that single barrel, give me that top thing. Like I want the, the newest item, and like small batches are boring. So to answer the question, I'm trying this new program where I'm trying to kind of make micro batching cool again, kind of thing.
Okay.
Where I'm going to test it. I have 3 test groups that I started back in with the 12 days of Meleck. I don't know if you saw some of those videos where I gave the micro batching.
Yeah.
So what we do is we're going to bring people on. We're going to give them a scale of like 7 barrels or something. And we're going to kind of take them through how we tabletop batch. And we're going to get to the point where we're going to take like 3 barrels and we're going to play around with the barrels, or maybe pieces of the barrel. And we're going to play around with like this. The proof is open. So we're going to have the proof gauge. We'll bring some water, put some things down, and they're basically making a micro batch. So it's taking 2 or 3 barrels, and it could be at, complete. It could be at the cast strength. It could be at 90. It could be at 80. It can be at, whatever. We'll play around with all different. So they'll choose their barrels. We'll take it through the water gauge, bring it down to 120, bring it up, see what the top level is. And and we have, actually today I'm down to 4 labels because I have to look at 8 years, 10 years, and any type of, because as you know, I'm all about colors. The colors make sense. So you can't color and not think about the futureness of what that color would be. And so I'm down to like 5 or 6 of so to be a new skewed item, and it's like a micro batch. So it's like single barrels, where people come and they choose micro batches where their sticker, they can sign it. It can be a custom made label. It can be sold at the online. You can go to a retailer. A couple retailers can come in, or groups can come. It's the same as a single barrel, but it's bringing hype back to micro batching, because micro batching is very difficult. It's like you get one barrel that wants to be a problem child, it ruins your entire batch. And then if you don't have other barrels available, you're like trying to figure out what you're going to do. Like we actually just had our batch, our small batch 125, because we go on batch number and year. So first batch of 25, we had this like funky barrel that was ruining everything. Like he just was getting annoyed. He sent it to me. I couldn't decide. We're going back. We're taking this, but if we take this, the other one then becomes, so we can either remove 3 and have like this tiny barrel, but doesn't give us enough cases for the yield. So basically we have to redo it, but the barrels aren't ready for enough time. So we can run out of stock, which, side note, we did. So like, so then you're going back. It's like a constant battle. So when you get these things, people aren't understanding. With the single barrels, we've made the products, but in terms of after the fact, it's very easy to dump bottle. It's at cast strength. That's what it is. But that micro batching, in terms of like appreciating what you're drinking, I just just so I love
much
that's what I'm going to launch this year. I don't know if it's going to do well. It might like blow up. I'm thinking about kind of like a heather gray label with like a gold fish. Maybe that's where I am right now. I'm like debating between the layers.
If you need a volunteer, the bourbon judge community will definitely volunteer to be a micro bat, let's call it, initiator, if you will.
Right?
We're like raise our hand.
Actually, I just realized your hat is what I'm aiming for the label. Like, I think that's where it would go. And I just don't know if it blends too much, like with the high proof. So that's where I am. The other thing is, we're going to have, it should be, unless things go wrong, we're going to have a distillery only rice bourbon launch. We have 7 barrels, about 200 cases. It's going to be at the distillery only. It'll be later this year.
Really?
That's kind of like your legacy. We won't have another. We don't have any other. That's just coincidental. We have 2 items.
Wow. So a rice bourbon at the distillery only. And when is that happening?
It should be, I want to say it becomes 5 or 6 years. Can't remember. I want to say 6, actually. I want to say it becomes 6 years and 2 months. So we'll be tasting it again. And so basically it's going to be this year. We were talking about it today.
It's this year at some point.
We've been talking about
Matt
it
Rainey.
12 months. But yeah, rice bourbon, another one of a kind item. There's no other like
wow.
this.
Rice bourbon, folks. You heard it here first. All right, Matt Rainey, you live around the corner. So yeah, I'm going to need your help, Matt Rainey. So speaking of Matt, so that's awesome. So micro batches, I love that. First ever rice bourbon. That is pretty damn cool. All right, I love that too. All right, so Matt has a good question.
Be great about it. You know, it's gonna be absolutely great. Is that we completely forgot we made it. So if it's fantastic, we're gonna have to wait another 6 years.
Oh my gosh! Oh man! Come
it's
on,
like,
Meleck.
You're like in those things. You're like, shit. Do I want it to be great? Do I want it to be bad? Like, what do I want it?
I love it. I love it. So Matt had a good question, as well as actually Brian, both very in the same similar vein, if you will, right? Matt said, "What about a toasted barrel?" Or Brian W said, "What about like a double oak?" Have you guys ever thought about like experimenting with those?
So experimentation, I feel like what we do is already experimentation. If I'm being honest, everything we do is experimental. But also it comes to choosing the battle. And what I mean by that is we don't have closely enough inventory to do the amount of states that ask for us. So like every time we are lucky if we do 5 barrels a day, and we're trying to up our inventory. I don't know if y'all followed me for long when we got the new still. That still is still not running. Like it's still problem child. It has not. So we have not upped our inventory. We have that thing. It hasn't produced anything. Our still alone is still a problem child. This is probably happening across all distillers. I mean, it's a piece of the queen, And so when we do that, it's kind of like, okay, I can experiment. Where do the experiments go? Then I'm taking back barrels, which then it reduces my inventory, which would basically make me choose between launching a new state or putting that inventory there. Then what's very different here, and where we go to like that pay to play conversation, this industry is gone in. I don't think many people realize like how many, I don't want to say like loans, but like where other money's coming from for these suppliers, where they're getting things. We're completely self-funded. So everything we do comes from the farm. One thing goes back. I mean, like we went back to the rice. This is, if it has to go into our farm and it takes away from our family and what we're trying to do, it's not worth it's not worth it. Like it's not worth to get all these things. We do not want other people stepping into the ring, putting money down and telling us what they think we should do. Like that's just not what, this is our brand. We created it. We're going to make the decisions and we don't need anybody else. So when it comes to that, every decision is about how it's going to affect the consumer, where we're going to go, and the risk that takes on, I could do this. It could be cool, or I could go to a new state, or I could put this down to up inventory, so that's really where it comes down to. When, let's say in 5 years, we're absolutely blowing it up. We've completely, we can't be stopped. I can see some experimentations, but then we got rice bourbon, if the bourbon ends up being like astronomical, we have the legacy. We've already seen that 7 years on the 30 gallon. So we got all those things. One still, you can't really up. You can only do so much on a full launch. We can up one more session. We do a 2-session run, so we can go and we can add the weekends, but that doesn't add enough distillate in order to have barrels that you're unsure about, I guess you can say, experimental barrels.
Okay, that's fair. So it's a combination of investment, the still, like from an equipment standpoint, having to balance that, having to make sure that you're never even looking at like outsource or outside like funding, if you will, because you're right. As soon as you have outside funding, then you have everyone saying, well, I think you should be doing X, you should be doing Y. And then it takes away from your family. It really does. I respect that. That's cool.
The rice bourbon will be at the distillery. One, it's small, and the legacy was out the distillery. It's small. We want to do the distillery, but also it takes away from the fact of who gets it. And that's a very difficult question. So when you talk about
true.
experimentation, you can be, and we'll give the Ohio example. I can launch Ohio this year. We can do absolutely fantastic. We have an experimental barrel. It ages in 6 months. It goes through all that thing. Absolutely. Ohio probably wouldn't be on the list to get it considering they're brand new. Not to say that I wouldn't want to give it, but I have to weigh the pros and cons of Louisiana, Texas, online being like, hey, we've been here the whole time. Like, you're going to do it.
I mean, what about us?
Exactly. And the opposite. So when we talk about those experiments, it's not real time, you know? So what I'm doing is like creating something that goes long time. And I have to think about that. That would be great, but it also wouldn't go back to the people that are asking for it. And then I have to, and it's definitely not a like fair. It's not fair. Sometimes I have to just bluntly say no. That's what it is. Like, I can't do anything about it.
It is. It really is. It is tough.
Like,
it is tough.
It's a chessboard for sure. It is
indeed. No, it is tough. Those grown-up decisions are hard, boy. They are definitely tough for sure. They are hard, boy. My daughter always tells me, she's like, I can't wait to be an adult and start making all these like adult decisions and go to college and this and that. I'm like, just relax. I'm like, trust me, adulting is not that fun.
My bills. You can be a pretend adult and let me know how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. So Nick, Mia asked, Nick rather, I should say, Nick asked a great question, Mia, in terms of like your rice. I know sometimes like you guys, it's a lot of times like I think it's proprietary, but do you use multiple types of rice, or is it just one type of rice that I don't think you're allowed to say, for proprietary reasons?
I can't tell you the type, but we use one. So we use one type of rice. We harvest about 7 of them. We have 7 on our farm. Yeah, there's a lot of different styles. So it's an order. So we place by order. So there are consistent amounts, and you go into medium, long, and you're farming for what the mill needs based on what other, I honestly have no idea what happens to rice afterwards. We don't have a brand name for rice. That's actually probably one of the only things that we don't. So in terms of it goes to the mill and then it goes packaged and it goes to the grocery stores in different. So then, so some of the times when people have a rice brand, they're buying rice back from the mill, which then goes back in. So you actually have to buy your rice back. So we have to buy our rice back. Like,
are you serious?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's not like we have to sell it out and then we have to rent special property to get it milled, and then we have to buy it back. Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
So that has a brand, literally planted, harvested, worked the land, sold it off, and then bought it back. Yeah.
Wow. That's insane. Crazy. That is insane. That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
It's the same thing with so my father was going out of town and he needed, he forgot to grab some product, and the warehouse for distribution was down the road from the airport. He's like, I'm just going to pop in. And he grabbed the product and they handed him an invoice. He was like,
his own product.
And he was like, this is the invoice for buying this product. He was like, you can't just refund it. I'll send it back to you tomorrow. They're like, no, sir, that's not how it works. You have to buy it. He's like, he calls me. He's like, what the? I'm like, yeah, we can battle it all day. That's what the law is. That's why I told you. Don't forget. Oh my
God. That's crazy. That is insane. Well, hey, I didn't realize that you guys, number one, even produce 7 types of rice. I never knew that. That part. See, you learn something new every day. I didn't know that. 8 million pounds of rice. Damn. Mm-hmm. That's insane. Holy crap. Oh my gosh.
All right. We have about 5,000 acres. 4,000, a little over 4,000 is farmable land. And then that divides on in like kind of an inverted. So partial of them are kind of influx. So right now we have just over like 2,200 acres of crawfish ponds right now.
That's awesome. That is so cool. I have a fun story to tell. And actually, Mrs. Judge, why don't we go ahead and pick another winner? I know, by the way, Vincent won the last one. So congrats, Vincent. Just reach out to me again on thebourbonjudge.com or on Instagram. So fun fact, fun story. And yes, Whiskey Voyage. We definitely need to make a little fun trip. I think I saw that was also from, I think it was Mark Hedinger.
I will say, if I could ever convince my father to build something, we were talking about it today. I have like all these plans in my binder. Yeah. That's when we will absolutely test out things, because we have like a chain to do it. You know, it's like there's a place to be like, all right, on
Yeah.
blank, 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 distillery only, we're releasing a honey barrel, or we're releasing
A honey barrel sounds great, by the way. I saw this comment. I'm like, damn, that would be great. A rice honey barrel. Oh man, sign me up for that all day. Seriously. Literally, I will drive down from Delaware. Be a long ass drive, but I would make the drive down and pick that up for sure. Literally. So our third winner is Perry. All right, congrats, Perry. Congratulations. More JT Meleck coming your way, my friend. That's awesome. So fun story. So last year I had the pleasure, and thank you again, Mia, for letting me and the group come there to your facility and do a barrel pick. So Mia made it very clear, right? She's like, hey, make sure you tell everyone when you pull in, we are an operating farm, right? Meaning like helicopter, the plane, the crop duster, it flies right over as you're coming in. So I tell everyone, hey, be aware of it. So as I'm pulling in, I saw the crop duster, it just went over. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm good. I'm safe. I pull in, I park. Mia, her dad, and everyone from the JT Meleck crew, they welcome everybody. We go inside. Your dad does the video. We have the tour. We pick our barrel. Everything's great, right? You hear the planes flying back and forth right there, taking off, landing, and going back, right? So we're leaving now, right? So everything's good. We're leaving. Me and the group are going to get some food. And I was one of the last people to pull out. So I pull out, I go in reverse, and I'm ready to leave. And I see the crop duster coming. I'm like saying to myself, I never told you the story. I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit. What am I doing? I'm like, I can't play like scared. I'm like, all right, I'm going for it. So I gun it. I gun it. I'm coming out onto the little highway. The wheels are turning. It's like,
oh my God. That's so. So do you remember how they have another, we have another entrance exit area, but it's blocked off by a cow, whatever fence that is done there specifically because someone drove there over while the crop duster was coming and the wheels hooked onto the truck and carried it. Not joking. So now that thing is blocked off for you're not going, because at least when you're on the other one, it's high enough to where it'll probably scare you, but they're not going to hit you. But that one, legit, one guy didn't listen and he was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go not pay attention. And the crop duster's coming. He can't stop. It literally picked the truck up and flipped the truck. We had to close that entrance. But let me tell you the most savage thing. Okay, so.
All right, go ahead, hit me.
4 months, it was in the summer. Time flies, probably 6 or 7 months. It was after yours, still in the summer. So we had a group here. I can't tell you what group, but I was dying. I had to walk inside to keep myself from oh my God. So I'm warning the group, same thing, blah, blah, blah. We're actively going. I mean, he's going and coming back. It's a whole day. They're coming.
Yeah.
I told them to come out. The guy's already, one guy parked in the wrong thing, blah, blah, blah. He's got to return. So he goes and he changes his direction. So he's coming over, and where we were on the entrance, where y'all parked, is where he's starting. So he is taking more time. He's getting filled up because the fill up will block the entrance. So they're going over here. He's slowly coming down and he's turning and taking back off that way. He's like, I've seen this. She has too many guests. I texted him. This is going to be a lot of cars. I'm trying to move him. He's like, I'm not even going to deal. So it's more work for him. He comes. He turns. This lady is like, oh my gosh, look. And she's like filming it, and she's coming closer and she's walking into it. So she's walking in and he's flying. So this is where our the office was. Here's the distillery. Okay. Yeah. So he's coming on that runway. He's coming in and she's walking. He's supposed to turn right here to take off. Okay. She continues. And I'm like, ma'am, she's not listening. I'm like, coming out. He literally stops. He stops the crop duster and does a full on, basically, if you get a Mustang that's in a gravel road and just veers off and what you call tail, a spin. Yeah, like a spin. That to her and flies dirt, gravel all over her. He's like, oh my God. She looks back. She's like, what happened? And then he looked at me and I was like, I died laughing. He was like, move. So he texted me after. And he was, excuse my language, but he texted me. He sends a meme. He's like, move, bitch. That's
exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking the rap song. bitch, get out the way.
Literally was like, I'm not playing right now. He's like literally looking at her. She's just bringing her phone, doesn't get a hint, not listening to me. He just whips her, and she gets nailed. Like all the grime.
Oh,
She's
man.
dirty. She's coming over there. She's like brushing it off, and he's looking at me like. It was by far the funniest thing I've ever seen. And she didn't even get that he did it on purpose.
She didn't even understand. Oh my god.
She still doesn't
Some
get
people,
it.
boy. Oh my gosh. Oh man. I tell you, boy. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Man.
Oh my
Always
god.
a good time.
Oh man. Yeah, I definitely learned my lesson, boy. When you first said that, I was like, I bet you me is probably overreacting. Like it's probably not that big of a deal, but boy. Woo! No way. I'm telling you, boy, you better be on your P's and Q's. Because I'm telling you, that plane is coming in hot. Literally.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm like, most of the time it won't happen. You'll think I'm overreacting, but when it does, you'll thank me for warning you.
So true. So true. So Mia, so you said that you are open to experimenting. And not that you have to like kind of like, like from a vision standpoint, but what types of, I guess, barrel finishes based off of your whiskey do you think might make sense? Like, there's port, there's rum, there's cognac, there's sherry, there's my favorite honey that's out there. Which ones do you think might make sense for your whiskey just based off of, obviously, JT Meleck better than anyone else? What do you think?
Of those, I would probably say the honey would probably be absolutely very good, especially with the butter. We have high proof specifically that's where like it got me with that. It's just such a clean butter finish, and that butter with like the kind of the thickerness of it. Would be really, really good. Sometimes I worry about like ports and rum barrels and similar things because I almost think about with cooking with Cajun food, my husband's from Iowa and teaching them about like flavor. Yeah. And when you take like spicy, they have spicy food. You have different types of Louisiana food, just like all over the place. But for me, I always tell people like, is the food flavorful or is it just like spicy? Because sometimes people think like dumping hot sauce and things or just like cayenne pepper or red pepper or whatever it may be, just like making it as hot as can be is like, that's flavor. And that's different. You're making it spicy, but you're not making it flavorful. And when you have that, you're dumping, they're completely different. And so,
yeah, you're right about that.
When you have flavor and you dump the wrong flavor into something, it can make something so good go completely the other way. So when you have, it's probably because I'm just not like the flavors of those can be almost like the equivalent of like a hot sauce. They're not spicy, but that like really dense flavor that could totally, you've been working on this gumbo for 3 days and somebody dumped something that did not go with the base flavor of what you put in.
I see what you're saying.
Hopefully I'm explaining that.
Like, I know what you're saying. So you really have to be very, very, I guess, like you have to be very thoughtful and insightful on what type of finish, because you don't want the two to like you. I always feel like with the finish, they have to complement one another. They can't battle one another. I think that's essentially what you're saying, right?
They can't battle one another. Feel it. Like I feel cooking. Like I do not. I'll watch a recipe like TikTok. That's where I get all my recipes. I'll watch it one time. I feel out where we started. Then I make my own way, and then I supplement things. And then I don't measure anything. You just like feel it from the heart. And like sometimes I'm like, and then we'll get things. Like we have friends that will totally bounce off. I'm like, what about doing that? And they're like, I never thought about that. I'm like, I thought about that because you did this or you did that, or like, I don't really like, I need something because it's just, and they'll give an idea. And I'm like, no, I feel like it's going to go, it's like a feeling. And so that's, I almost feel like it's there, but it'll just, it's not that great,
I'm with you. No, that makes sense. And I think Nadrick is right. Nadrick said that he agrees. He thinks it's more like based off of your whiskey, your profile, the palate, like the experience, a maple or a honey, something that's a little bit sweeter would probably work well with the JT Meleck whiskey versus like the wines and your rums and so forth. And I agree. Rob Sullivan kind of said the same thing as well. I completely agree, Rob, that the honey would definitely complement JT Meleck as well. It would. That's a good point, actually. That's a really good point. Man, a honey finished JT Meleck single barrel. Oh my gosh, I'm almost in tears. I can't even think about that. Can't even
No,
think
I
about
feel
that.
like
That's
if you put honey and maybe like orange peels, like honey
yeah.
for 2 months and orange
Hmm.
peels for like 6 hours, maybe a
Yeah.
day. I'm not sure how rapidly they be.
Hmm.
You have like an old fashioned ready to go right out of the
Yeah,
barrel.
you
I feel
would.
like you just
Yeah, you
add
would.
ice, like
That's so
yeah.
true.
Our whiskey our small batch goes so well with oranges.
Mm,
And it
mm, mm,
has
mm.
it has so every time I taste it, I get orange, which is funny because I'm highly allergic to oranges.
Oh,
So
are you?
yeah, and I found that out probably a decade ago. So I remember what oranges is. I know it's orange, but I don't have
Yeah.
them. But that's how my father puts it over ice. He actually
Yeah.
sometimes he dabs the bottom with honey. He'll put a small batch on, add ice, ring it with orange peel, and kind of do it, and then just
Ah.
circle it around. And it's fantastic. It is.
Yeah.
And so
I
I
can
feel like you do
see.
that, finish it in a honey
Yeah.
barrel, put some orange peels in there, let it sit for a little bit, and
Oh
you have
gosh,
a
that
good
would be
ready
amazing. That would be
RTD,
amazing. That would be
RTD ready
so
to go.
good. Oh man, that I mean, you guys have like, I mean, the sky's the limit for JT Meleck. I mean, because, gosh, I mean, just like and I can imagine like a JT Meleck old fashioned like just bottle that you could just buy off the shelf. That would be, whoo,
Yeah, that would be that bottle we just talked about.
that's
Like,
fire, Mia. That is fire
I'm
right
so
there.
glad that you say like the sky's the limit because that's how I feel. It's like I
It
think my
is.
biggest challenge right now is my father takes like the tiny little haters to heart. He'll think about it all
Yeah,
night, and
yeah,
I'm very different. We are a lot alike in a lot of ways, but different in a lot of ways. And for him, he wants to analyze every single piece, which is great and when you're doing an entrepreneur and you're building something. He
hmm,
wants to analyze every piece
hmm,
before he does something. I'm
yep.
already 6 like flights down, have failed 3 times, readapted, like hair's on fire, and we're just still like, let's fucking go. Like, we're just doing it. I'm out there and I probably look like a hot mess, but dude, look at this. And he'll like steady come along. He'll get there and he'll get there
Yeah,
well, but that's
your
where I'm
dad is
just
very precise. I
yes,
respect that. I love your father,
wants
boy.
to
He's
make sure you don't fail fast. So when you do that and you take so much thought process and you put so much of your life and your intensity and your family and everything in that goes to your core. Like he'll stay up
yeah.
thinking about those people. And I like my entire job is to tell him, excuse
Don't worry
my
about it.
language, Marcus, but
Yep.
fuck those people. We are
Damn
getting
right.
it, and we're gonna get it today or tomorrow or next week. And those people don't matter. And he's like, well, what if
Absolutely.
they just, go
Absolutely.
off and just go online and say we suck? And I'm like, well,
Yep.
fuck them. Like they say we suck.
Yep.
I don't care. We're going to go to the
So
next
true.
person because there's so
So
many
true.
people in the country and somebody out there is going to want to enjoy our spirits like we do. And
Absolutely.
those are the people that
Absolutely.
I care about. Those are the
Yep.
people that I'm targeting and
Yep.
everybody else.
Yep. Forget them. Fuck them.
Forget them. Yeah, exactly.
You're right though. I mean, but you're right though. You're right. You can't you can't let that negativity, to your point, right, get to you. It's just not worth it, right? It's just not worth it.
Absolutely.
And, honestly, there's too many people out there that are on the stream tonight. My buddy Donald, who I saw just dropped a comment about honey. Yes, I know. Trust me, Donald, I'm with you. Oh my gosh. So JT Meleck, honey finish. Rob was saying the same thing. Matt Rainey as well.
All about
I mean,
that
there's too
honey.
many people that love your whiskey to not let those negative, honestly, assholes get to you. It's not worth it. It's not worth
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
It's not worth it.
Especially
They're
some
just hating
people just
because they
want to be
can't
mad.
beat you. Yeah,
People,
exactly.
I love like I'm a total I like to refer to myself as like the Wendy's. I don't know if Wendy's still does it, but I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all have seen how Wendy's is known as being like a savage on responses.
Yeah.
But like
Mhm.
absolutely. I told this one
Yeah.
lady who like came at me, I'm like, girl, you sound like you'd be so much fun at happy hour. Like, absolutely not. Stay 10 feet away from me. Like go over
Oh
there.
my gosh,
It's
that
not
is so
fun.
funny. That is so funny. That is hilarious. It's funny you say it. So I'll tell you a fun story. So obviously anybody can come at me, right? Like as a whiskey tuber or whatever influencer. I've had one person. I won't say their name. It was a female, right? Because obviously if it's a guy, I'm handling my own business. Like I don't let people get to me, especially if it's a guy. Like he wouldn't say that to my face, but he said they're a keyboard warrior. But there was a female who used to comment on my videos like, I don't like X, I don't like Y. And boy, if you don't know Mrs. Judge, you messed with the wrong female when you came after her husband. Oh man, she went off. I was like, oh gosh, this person, you do not want to be in the same room as Mrs. Judge because it is not going to end well for you. Not female to female.
I like her. Absolutely.
She is straight fire.
People, especially women in this industry, it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. And especially, like I would say, I don't know how it is everywhere, but I would say that the South is very much below the times in terms of, the male here and the female here. Like you and like me and my husband laugh about it all the time, but it's laughing, but it's also super serious. We'll walk into a place and they'll just like, sir. And I'm like, hello. Yeah, it's me. It's me. Yeah. I'm here. I'm actually going to buy that. Not him. He's just here because I wanted to hang out with him today. Like he's my best friend. Like, hello, me. Yeah. And so like, absolutely. But some people that know like the type of personality, I am the ride or die. I want to have a great time. But I'm very serious in my work. I'm very passionate.
Yeah. You are.
I'm a very hard worker. I will walk through a brick wall. You want something? I got it. I will make this brand successful. I will find a way. But man, you try to say something to me. I'm sorry. What? What did you say? And
Don't mess with Mia, boy.
I had this event the other day. And I was like, man, I just know that you're somebody that like, you're all fun and stuff, but you don't want to fuck with you. I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, if we're positive, if we're fantastic, I got you. Like, don't be rude. And don't be rude to anybody I know. Like, I don't know if it's a toxic trait, but it's definitely like a cream one or whatever. But like, I don't even know some people sometimes. But like, when I see people being rude to other people, I'm like, excuse me, I'm sorry. What did you just say? Like, that was, I'm sorry. Everybody heard you. You obviously wanted an audience. Otherwise, you would have said it in private. That was just out loud said. Would you like to say that to the entire audience? That was absolutely rude. I feel like I need an apology. Absolutely not.
Man, you are so funny. Oh, gosh. Oh, man. I wish I lived closer to Branch, Louisiana, boy. We would hang out often.
Absolutely, we would. I've told that after our last one. I was like, man, we would be such cool friends if we lived closer.
Indeed, boy. Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. You are so funny.
And I used to be so close to you. I was only like 45 minutes when I lived in New England. I used to live very close to you.
I know you were. That's funny. I never knew that you lived in this area. I had no clue.
Yep. I started on the East Coast. I started in Maryland. I used to work at the Naval Academy, and I worked myself all the way up to New England. And then I lived in Ohio. I used to work in Ohio. I used to be a college volleyball coach. And so
you were a volleyball coach. I remember that. Yeah. Which I could see, by the way, just with your personality, your enthusiasm. I mean, hell, I don't even play volleyball right now, but if Mia was like, let's go, Judge. I'm like, all right, here we go.
It's funny. I have a ton of like Ohio stuff that I'll wear all the time. So that's what a lot of people like will say, like, are you going to Ohio? And it is coincidental. I do want to go, but that's because I used to work there. So I used to live there. My daughter was actually born in Ohio. So it's she likes to tell everybody that everybody in our family was born in a different state. Me, Louisiana, my husband, Iowa, and her, Ohio.
So Brian said, where in Ohio? Brian wants to know. Where in Ohio?
Athens, Ohio. I worked at Ohio University.
Oh, you did? Oh my gosh. Wow, that's so funny. That is so cool.
Yeah, I met somebody that was in Columbus, and I was like, man, I used to remember going to Columbus. It was like a big day when we would road trip to Target. It's like an hour and 15 minutes, and we were going like, we're going to Target. This small little town that had nothing. Because like we are, like you saw the farm, like grew up there. We have small little towns around, but we have Lafayette 25 minutes. Like you can get to Baton Rouge in an hour and a half. And like being in Athens, you got nothing. Like
that's crazy.
Yeah, an hour and 15 minutes away. And it was it was crazy. It's like, you want to go to Target? Yeah, let's go to Target. Like
let's go to Target. The big day.
Big day.
Oh man. All right. So I have two questions. So the first one is, what can we do as the Judge community to get back on the JT Meleck, like I guess, list for a 2025 micro batch, single barrel, Mia barrel, whatever barrel, because your whiskey is that damn good that I know our community loves it. What can we do?
Thank you. So we're kind of in this like weird stage with our single barrel. So it's kind of moved to like a distributor retailer achievement system. I say that because we just had the waiting list got to the point where it was, I feel like I was telling no to everybody. Like I just like
I
no
get it
all the time. And then like
Yeah.
picking and choosing where I was going to go. And then you got home state saying why we're not getting, you got Texas growing rapidly. We got other states that are like, why can't I get single barrels? And when I'm trying to launch other states, you know, they're only interested in single barrels. And I'm like, well, it's going to be the whole brand. But in terms of that, it turned into an achievement system. So I have a percentage that becomes like a marketing barrel, which is equivalent to this. So I don't have any for this year, but I will say the micro batching is brand new, and I'll put you right there. If we can get the label and I can get pieces, and the best thing is I want people to come and help me who I can trust and really give me great feedback to like play around with this, because if we can make that, we can like make batching cool again, you know? And
I think it'd be awesome.
Single barrels are fantastic, but single barrels don't keep the lights on. Like they just like you gotta create. That's why I'm always hyping the vodka in small batches. You want more single barrels? Vodka in small batches. That's the babies. They create more single barrels. Single barrels are total like they're marketing lines. They're not the things that keep the brand going. Otherwise, we would have turned the whole thing into single barrels. You know, like I find that, and I'm like, if we could. They're fantastic. They absolutely are, but we can only do a certain amount because we'd be right back with our rice situation. We don't want that.
Would. No, I get it. I totally get it. No, and thank you in advance. Thanks, number one, for the transparency. We appreciate the honesty. The micro batch. I mean, again, the micro batch. You say, Judge, get down here in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'm going to be there. You tell me how many people to bring. We'll be there. We'll taste it. We will be the guinea pigs. I mean, you name it. We will be there. I guarantee you. I'll say that. That is my commitment.
I love it. I try to always be honest and transparent. I don't like to say things that aren't true and just half the time I don't even know. Like I'm just figuring it out as I go. So sometimes we're here, sometimes we're there. And so we're testing it out. I think that's going to be the best part. Starting with those the 12-day of Meleck people who won those and just kind of making it fun, you know. And if it fails, we end up with some barrels, you know, and they get to bottle it themselves and take it home. Like you really don't fail. That's what I'm saying. I fail on the way. It'll either like absolutely crush it, or it was a cool experience we tried one time and it didn't work out.
Indeed. And that 12 days of Meleck was pretty cool too, by the way. I loved it. That was like, it was awesome. Like seeing everyone like post on there. I saw like a lot of my patrons are on there. Like I know my buddy Tom, who's in the chat right now, BB Tom, him, his wife Esther, they both were posting. They were like, Judge community. I mean, I loved it. It was just so cool when you had that happen during Christmas. You really truly engaged people in a very fun, like entertaining and just like enthusiastic way. So make sure you do that again in 2025.
Absolutely. I have to always think about new ideas and like what I'm going to do. So I'm really excited you like that, because I had some people that reached out and they were like, so no free stuff this year. And I'm like, it is free. It's just an experience. It's free in a different way. I'm like, these are really cool things. Like I'm all about the experiences. Like temperatures grazing. We got mosquitoes now crazy. They are adapting and they should have died. No, they didn't.
I bet.
And
oh my God.
Like people, I'm all about experiences. Like, you know, Valentine's Day is coming up. Nope, let's go do something. You don't need to get me a card and roses. I don't even like roses. Like my husband knows that. And they're so overhyped. It's my least favorite flower. And so when it comes to, I'm like, oh, we're going to do experiences. This is going to like totally hype. And the people that were engaged loved it. But I realized there were just so many people that just wanted a free t-shirt, you know? And I'm like, well, next year.
Next year.
Next year.
It is always next year. Always next year. So I have a question for you, Mia. So I think I want to say this was maybe like in October, maybe September, October of last year. You were with Andrew from Starlight and some other folks. What was that all about? I saw that online. I forget what it was though.
That was December. That was just a few weeks ago. Like time flies.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's funny. I don't know what picture it was, but we were cracking up. So we got to go. We were doing a barrel pick with Andrew. Okay. He's like, apparently he's known for like the monkey, like climbing up. Legit. Yes. He's like climbing up barrels.
He goes all over.
Yeah, he's like climbing up. I'm like, do you know where you're going, or are you just making it up as you go? Either one is really cool. There's no like. So, but we're standing. I mean, it's December. You know, it's not the coldest, but it's just. I mean, it was a beautiful day, 50s, 60s. Like if you're in the sun, it's probably in the 60s, but it's probably in the 50s. I don't know. But we're in this barrel warehouse, concrete flooring. The sun's not shining, sun's going down. We're there for like 5 or 6 hours. I got stuck like where we were. Like all of a sudden I just like am like rapidly moving like back and forth. And they were like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "I can't feel my feet." Like I could feel it gradually happening that my shoes froze and then my toes were freezing. And then all of a sudden, so I had to like run out and I'm like laying in the sun. I didn't go out like they were dying. They were like, "The Southerner can't handle it." I'm like, "We're standing for 5 hours." And you should have seen it. So he would pour. So he gets it completely. It's so cool to see the different experiences. And I love so many. It is. This would be so cool. I was like, my dad would have a heart attack if I started climbing on barrels.
Andrew's hilarious. He's almost like your twin, right? In a way. He's quite hilarious, very energetic. He's like your twin brother that you never had.
Absolutely. He was awesome. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to get whatever device I need to get to climb the barrels because it would be worth everything to see my father's face of me 4 stories up. He's like, "Mia, what are you doing up there? Get down." That's exactly, he's like freaking out, you know. He's like up on, you know, ownership comes out. He's like, "What's up?" Like totally cool. Like Andrew's hanging from the rafters. Like that's just another Tuesday. And it was hilarious. And what they did is he just gets like a whole like amount and he just pours a little bit in each. And like for me, he's like, "Mind you can drink whatever you want, but I'm going to give you like a lot, like 20, 30 options. We're just going to keep on drinking." Like 3 people told me that, like, mind yourself. So me, I'm taking a little sip and then I'm kind of like, "Ugh." So I got a cup and I'm like, oh, so I go dump it. He goes, "No, toss that on the barrel." And I looked at him and I go, "Toss it on the barrel?" He goes, "Yeah, just toss it." And all the guys are like, they'll take a sip and they just chunk it like they've been there before. And I'm like, that's where I felt like my dad. I'm like, there we are, OCD. I'm like, "Why are we throwing? What are you doing?" Like
throwing it on the barrel.
My first one, I literally go off and I went, and he goes, "You can toss it." I go, "Okay." So the next one, I was like, like I felt like I was gonna ruin a barrel. And so by the third one, I'm like walking out and I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh
like,
my God, man. You are so
like,
damn funny.
Get it for me. Like, she finally tossed it. By the end, I'm like, "Yeah, chunk it here, chunk it there." Like, so you're sipping and you throw it. I'm like, this is so wild.
You are so funny, Mia.
Wild. It was fantastic. We did a barrel pick for the Alzheimer's Association.
That's nice.
My grandmother is suffering from that currently right now. She's definitely on the final stages, unfortunately. And my husband's grandmother died from that. And so Wes is fantastic. He actually won. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it, but like the #1 volunteer for like he's raised thousands of dollars for the Alzheimer's.
Really?
Works at St. Is in Tennessee, a complete fantastic human being. Invited me on for a couple picks for that association, which we did with them to support that program. That's really true. Like we, if there was one, I was like, let's do one that really comes back to both me, my entire family. And so, and to know, like it's really important to know like where your energy, where your money is going, and like know he's a fantastic human. I was like, absolutely. That's awesome. So that's what we were doing. It was awesome. The whole group is fantastic.
That's so cool. No, that's awesome. It's that's such. I mean, #1, a great cause. You obviously connected with great people, Andrew and the team there, Starlight. They're really cool. I've done a couple barrel picks with him before, and you leave Starlight. I mean, Andrew. I mean, they feed you at the end as well, but like you definitely have a good number of pours at the end there. I mean, you have a lot of pours at Starlight, so you're like, woo, you gotta relax a little bit.
Oh, yeah. You knew the ones that had been there before. Like one went to the pizza station. One went to the cheese and bread. One grabbed the napkins. They just like dispersed. And they're like, "Meet you at the table." I'm like, what is happening?
Exactly. Exactly.
It was so like literally, I'm like, oh my gosh, like what they do. And it's crazy because I think he said they have 100 acres. And I literally was like, it's
crazy, right? Those hills.
Oh yeah, apple picking, like
Yep.
peaches, pumpkins. He said
Peaches
there's
and apples
somewhere
and
between,
pears and
yeah,
everything.
between
Crazy.
apples and pumpkins. He says there's like 50 to 75,000 people that come. Then they have trees. I
Yeah.
looked at my husband and I was like, 100 acres. We have 5,000. Like, what the? My brain was like spinning on ideas. I'm like, how do we get pumpkins over here? Where do I get trees? Like, how do we
We're
do
doing
this?
this. Branch,
I text my
Louisiana.
dad. I'm like, we must build something immediately. Like to my dad, I'm like sending him pictures. There's a lady that has like the whiskey barrels in Kentucky of like the
Yeah.
Airbnbs. I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure 4 can fit between these trees. We can do this. Like, let's go. Like, everybody together. We can probably build this in a night. We need this. This is happening. I need a device that moves me up and down so I can hang on the rafters.
Man, you gotta stop. Oh my gosh, I'm in tears. Hold on. You are so funny. Oh my
I
goodness.
literally went out and so the next day I went to Brett, our distiller. I was like, hey, so how much weight can like a pallet like realistically take? He was like, what do you mean? I was like how
Yeah.
much weight? Like obviously it has 4 barrels. We stack 4 barrels. We stack them up.
Yeah.
I mean, the top one on the 4th pallet means, I mean, that pallet's taking a couple thousand pounds, but like, what if it moves? Like, what if an extra like $1.30 like hops up on it? He was
What
like,
would a
"You're not
$1.30
climbing."
look like?
Like he literally said, "You're not climbing it." I'm like, fuck. I was like, well, what's the best solution? The forklift, like lifting me up? And I go, we
Oh,
can do
Mia.
like the mini me. What's the thing where they have the forklift and it goes, brr, brr, but it's like
Oh
me, like,
yeah.
slowly up, like up into the rafters, and I could just picture my father going,
Oh my gosh.
like it could be a
You
whole
are so
movie.
funny. Oh my goodness. You crack me up. You crack me up. Let me give a huge shout out to my man, Jason, JC from Mash and Drum, the OG of Whiskey 2. My good friend. Good guy, too, by the way. Jason's such a good guy. Oh man. Jason, good to see you, my friend. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for jumping on today. I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Mir, you are hilarious. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Maybe you should even do like a separate channel just for like JT Meleck comedy. You should
Oh
have
my
like
God.
a separate channel. I'm not even joking with you.
I've
You
debated
two are
so
hilarious.
many times to like, that's where I told you I'm like the worst social media person because like I get told all the time like I should make, because as an alcohol like account I get like shadow banned and it just doesn't
Yeah.
reach things. It's really difficult to like get out, and like they're like, you should make a personal brand, like do it. And I've like started it with the idea of like doing more stuff, of like even more than I'm already doing. And I'm like, oh gosh, that sounds very exhausting. I don't know if I can do it. And then I go to like, I can't tell you how many times I've created a profile and deleted it because I get stuck, Marcus. I can't think of anything to say. It's like when it comes to the brand,
What?
I'm like, I come up with these things. I come up with a thing that talks about the brand or becomes like a personal brand. And I'm like, my name is Mia. And I have nothing to say. I'm like, who's gonna watch this? And we're done.
You are hilarious. Oh my gosh. You are so damn funny. You are so funny. Oh man. You are so funny to me. Oh my gosh. Miracle, by the way. Miracle, very nice. That's a very nice comment. And you're right. That's she was kind of going back about like people that are being very rude and so forth. And yeah, no, that is awesome, Miracle. Thank you, by the way. And no, Mia, you did a great thing, obviously, for that, for the calls and so forth. I love the fact that you came together as like, various different groups to do the single barrel. That's really cool that you came up, hanging out with Starlight and so forth. Such a good cause. I love honestly what JT Meleck stands by. And that's really part of the reason why so many people really kind of vibe with JT Meleck and enjoy your products, because you guys stand for just such great things and you're very genuine too as well, right? It's hard to, anyone can honestly just sell good whiskey, right? But you are very genuine. Your father, your family brand, the history, the dynamics. Your mom who designed the label, which is this is fucking badass, right? This is badass, right?
Yes. So she did this really cool one. So like I said, I was looking at the labels for the 2 items, and there is a like I know there's a term for it, but like when a color turns into another color type of thing, but not in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like it kind of like, and it's like this
Yeah.
gray navy type of like it, like I can't describe it, but it's really badass. And the crawfish is gold and it just,
Ooh.
it's like a badass background. I'm like, oh my God, this one, like, what is this? Where did you get it? She
Yeah.
goes, oh no, I was just playing around with the color scheme. I'm like, how can we get this done? She goes,
What?
well, this involves some with a 2-color pattern. And if you put the color in, the foil is not going to, like this long drawn out thing. And I go, like the whole office was just like looking at it. I go, so no, so that's a no. And she was like, yes, no, that's a no. And I'm like, why couldn't you just say no? Like everyone was dying. I'm like, she gave me this whole like scientific art description, had no idea what she was saying. So I'm like, so no. Like, that's a
Did
no.
you pick
I'm
up
like,
any of Did you pick up any of your mom's like creative skills at all? I mean, obviously you are very creative, of course, but like the like graphic design, like is that part of like your DNA as well from your mother?
No,
No?
not anything that's like a physical, like how you touch a label.
Yeah.
I
No.
got the
Okay.
creativity from like I think from like what I'm saying, like that kind of like you feel it out and just think of things and you just do, and like that problem solving. Like
Yeah.
my dad is always making a joke that my mom has memorized any map, any city, state, country map. She will be driving and just knows, just based on, that's a loud truck, based on where she's been, she will find without looking, she won't pull up her GPS. She will just feel on instinct, there's traffic up ahead. If I turn here, there's probably something. If it doesn't match, and she'll take you through these winding roads and like deduct like 25 minutes from your drive. And like my dad would go like, have you taken that route before? And she's like, no, I just felt like there had to be another way. Like, and she'll just like feel it out.
That's
and like,
great.
she's like, I don't know. I can't explain it. I just like, I felt it. And I get that from her because I'll just like,
That's awesome.
You just got to trust your gut and you just kind of like feel it, or you just kind of do it. And that do it, like you might as well, she is all about like that. I get that, like that positive energy from her. She's like, if we screw up, whatever. And I get that from her. Like, I definitely get that.
Awesome. Your mom is sweet. That's so cool. That is so cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
She's definitely she's the heart and a main reason why my father has gotten where he is. Absolutely. Cannot ride or die. Yeah, absolutely. Like
there's no good man without a good woman right there with him. Trust me, I know.
Yeah. He comes in the office and he was like, he's got his lunchbox. He's like, so I just got one chicken breast. He's like, what is this chicken breast? It's like a chicken breast for like a little dog. And we're like, what? So he comes and he's like, no, Mia, come see this chicken breast. And like, it was actually really funny. Like it's this little thing. Like it's not even that big. He's like, it's a chicken. I go, and so of course in Zoolander fashion, I'm like, it's a chicken breast for ants. Like it's a little chicken breast. And I go, I don't know what's worse about this. The fact that you didn't pack your own lunch or the size of the chicken breast. And he was like, Mia, go away. And like, literally, that just describes it perfectly. As my mom, I turn around, she's bringing him a cup of coffee. I'm like, I rest my case. Really? Like, you literally wouldn't eat or drink anything. Like absolutely not. Like, yep.
That is so funny.
For me, though. He says all the time, I don't know if you've seen that meme where it's like, I never have to worry about my wife cheating. I have to worry about her being 2 miles till empty, 5% on her battery, and having no idea where she is. Like, and haven't eaten all day. Yep, that's me. Yeah. 1000%.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh, your mom and dad. I love it. That is so cool. That is so cool.
Shane. Shane is the one helping me in Ohio. So.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's awesome.
He's doing. He's conducting a Meleck blind tasting. What's the date? Like about a month. So awesome. Okay. Awesome human being.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff about Ohio. I mean, it's funny because Ohio does have even within their own, a huge craft distillery, like kind of following, and just whiskey lovers in general. So it kind of makes sense why Ohio would be like the next market, one of the next markets for JT Meleck. It definitely does make sense. That's awesome, Shane. Very nice. That's cool. Love that. The love of JT Meleck. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I think I know I kept you long enough, Mia. Let's wrap it up. Let's do let's find the fourth winner for a JT Meleck 2-ounce sample of my JT Meleck single barrel, as well as my Bourbon Judge Glencairn as well. Let's find the final one. So, all right. So Mia, so we talked about some expansions. like in terms of different markets. We talked about potential like finishes. You're going to be looking at, potentially you would maybe down the road consider things of like, honey or maple, something sweet, if you will. The last question I have for you is, do you ever foresee JT Meleck having like set state like age stated like expressions like because you have obviously the 6 year, right? Do you think this is something that will stay, or will you look to increase it? Like what's like the vision for, I guess, like future sub brands, if you will?
Yeah, so it kind of goes consistently into the question of if we're going to do the finishes. So in terms of what we have and where it goes. So the 6 year, we do a certain percentage of barrels. So when I take it, I basically look at all the barrels, where they're going, and then from there, I take a percentage of each barrel and I move them around based on where they're going to go. So 25% single barrels, 30% is gets aged, continues on for an age statement. The rest are deducted, and then it's a 60-40 on small batch and high proof based on sales. I can adjust that, but then I'm adjusting the cases. So every time I'm adjusting that, I'm adjusting less cases. So I can't do more than, I can't do less than 50 of that for like a small batch, because in terms of water and what you're producing, produces more cases, produces more allocation to meet your minimums for states and things like that. So I take this and then I have like a whole projection of where we are. It maintains, and I take the vodka numbers, what the projections are, what our goals are, where we're going to hit that. And I take that all out. With the 6 year specifically, what we had is we were going to have 25 barrels last year. So that's 30% of the prior years, which, as you can see, wasn't a lot of barrels. Amounted to 25 barrels. Well, that legacy came out of nowhere, and we realized that we were going to sample that. Shocked us completely. I had to go back and make sure that I had the right samples, because I thought that was absolutely, because, so side note, I really wasn't a big fan of the founders.
Oh, really?
Doesn't mean I'm not now. I have gone back. I do think that my memory of it has changed. But when we tried it, we had a family vote, and I was the only one to say that it wasn't ready. So we still like talk about that. Yeah, we launched that thing, and I don't know. I don't know, gut instinct. And like when he asked me why, and I'm like, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's ready. Like,
it was ready at the time. Okay.
For me, like founders, whatnot, we were launched that when nobody knew who we were. So it really didn't matter. But when you see the legacy, I feel like for me, I felt like I was right in my own sense, because the legacy is fantastic. And that's
on point.
The minute I tasted that, I was like, yes. Like I went back to myself when we tasted the founders, and I was like, that's what I was looking for. Like that is ready. So when we tasted that, and we were looking, so at one point the rice is going to spoil. It's not going to go forever. We keep saying we're not going to make it to this year. You got yield, you got humidity, you got all these things. But at one point the rice will go sour. It'll just be you wit too much. And taking that risk, especially when, losing 10 barrels can be 10% of our stock. Like, and that's a lot. Just less than 18 months ago, that was 10%. So like a barrel, and that's why when we talk about single barrels and we talk about these things, like that's a percentage of everything, And so all those matter. And so when we were trying to figure out, we had 25 barrels of 6 year.
Okay.
Are we going to make it to 8? We're tasting it. It tastes fantastic. He blends it. We were playing around with the 110 proof. It was, it came out of the cast strength was 124.7. That's what those barrels came out at. And,
really? Okay.
Yeah. And so actually some mentors in the industry have helped us from the beginning, was like, well, there's no way to know. There's no data on rice, but do you have anything that's older? And he goes, hey, wait, you have them 30-gallon barrels, don't you? And he was like, yeah, we got some of those. He's like, how old are those? And we said, almost 7. He goes, well, that'll be your 8 or 9-year-old 53-gallon barrels. So go taste them. If they taste good, keep aging. If they taste terrible, bottle them all. That's literally what he said. So that's when we went to taste the legacy. So it ended up to be a perfect storm. When we went to taste it, holy shit, it was fantastic. So then we're hoping, predicting, thinking that the 8 year will taste like the legacy. That's supposed to be what the 53 at 8 or 9 years will look like. So that's what we're hoping. So instead of bottling both batches, we took half. And so we kept 12 and aged 13. So 13 barrels from last year is the first move to 8 years. So in 2 years, a little less than 2 years now, we will have the first batch, even smaller quantities, a micro amount of 8 years.
I love
And
that.
so to
I like
answer
that.
that, you go back to the 6 years. This year, last year we had 360 cases.
Okay.
This year we will have 33 barrels. So
Okay.
you can almost double and a half
Mhm.
that. Double and a half, that's not a
Mhm.
real word. So we probably gonna go up to 600, 700 cases of that. Then you move
Okay.
up, it goes from 33 to, well, I guess if you move your percentage. So we'll taste it at 7. Then if that
Yeah.
goes, you'll have less. But what I'm
Good.
saying is each one, eventually that 6 year will be on the shelf consistently. Then you talk
Yeah.
about states, then you talk about allocation. So honestly,
Sure.
it's totally possible that it'll be an allocated item for a very long
Yeah.
time. If we
Yeah, of course.
expand, I really want to keep going to more states. So that would make
Yeah.
items like the 6 year just a one and done in multiple
Yeah.
states at one point in time. Like, hey, September is when we release the 6 year, and these 5
Correct.
states get it, and they only get an
Correct.
allocation. So
Yeah. That's the
hopefully that
problem with
answers
growth.
your question.
Yeah, no, it does for sure. I mean, but that's the challenging part about growth. I mean, and yeah, I mean, and Brian, I mean, Mia actually addressed this earlier about like the stills. I mean, they do actually have a second one, but it's it takes time and there's
For real.
issues that happen, right? I mean, it's not
still
as
a
easy as
problem.
yeah, right. It's not easy, right? There's always issues.
Always, literally the
Always
problem
issues.
child. People ask us
Yeah.
like, why do you have a still that's so difficult? It's because when we first tested, a lot of people did not want to help us test. So most people don't know this, but originally before we did this, we made the vodka to prove that rice could do it before they told us we couldn't make a whiskey. But in the middle of that, we wanted to sell our rice for other people to make rice spirits. So it's really funny. Like the people that may be like mocking what we're doing or attempting it now, they technically had full opportunity to do it before. We wanted to sell our rice because we go back to that question. So you don't have value in your rice crop, so you're going to put stuff away for 5 years. Nobody wanted it. Like, so no commodity, similar to like a Bardstown, how they take in and they make product for other places. They were even making popcorn whiskey when we were there. And that's the same concept we were doing. Nobody was interested. Rice is going to gunk it up, all these things.
Yeah.
And so many people told us no. So we're like, okay, well, he was determined like this. We need to know whether it's bad because let's try it once. And if it's bad, then whatever. And so finally somebody allowed us to try it. We did 6 or 7 different recipes, finally got the vodka that you're drinking now. And we didn't want to change anything. We felt like one little change would screw it all up. So we asked exactly the still that they had. And that's the still we got. And that's the still we've had since. So there was never, ever an experiment. We never talked about it. We got that still. So it's a problem child at times, but that's way too much risk to ever try a different style.
I get it.
People ask why that style, because that's where it was run on.
That's where it was run on. I get it. Wow, that's a lot, boy. Whew. Man, running a full business, whiskey business, but then also making vodka. It's a lot of work. I mean, between number one, just being able to have, to your point earlier, which is a very valid point, keeping all of your core products in market as well as online, right? Sustaining that, but then also trying to have the ability to have like experimental type of like things like either finishes or a rice bourbon, which I'm really excited about that one. Matt Rainey, if you're still here, please remember to grab the judge a bottle. I mean, it's a lot to like kind of be able to kind of produce all of that and still find ways for growth. I mean, shout out to, I'm ending this one on a good note. Shout out to JT Meleck. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to just everything that Branch, Louisiana, Rice Whiskey, and JT Meleck stands for. Mia, from my heart to you, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I really do appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
The whiskey community as well. Cheers to you, Mia.
It was so much fun. Thank you so much. I was pumped when I got your message. I would drink after ran out.
There we go. All good. Cheers. Thanks everyone for hanging out tonight, hanging out with me and learning everything was new with JT Meleck. And cheers to another 20,000 subscribers coming soon. Woo! Take care, everyone. See you guys.